Like to welcome David Lyons, and I'm very, very honored to have him here tonight. He's the founder of MS Fitness Challenge. I don't think I have to introduce you to him because I'm sure you're familiar with him. Uh, Also, the National Fitness Hall of Fame inductee, author, speaker, and MS advocate. Diagnosed with multiple sclerosis in 2006, his journey is a powerful example of resilience, strength, and what's possible beyond the diagnosis. So, welcome. We are very honored to have you here.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm the one who's honored being on your show.
It's not a show. It's sometimes it's a show, but
Well,
it's more like real life.
if you're on social media in a podcast type of setting, it's a show. So it's all
Yes.
good.
So you were diagnosed 20 years ago.
20 years, right? This year is 20 years.
How does it feel like? I'm sure a lot changed since then.
Well, I actually feel stronger and more mobile than I've ever been after 20 years. In fact, I was just at a neurologist a week ago just for, my normal checkups. And I haven't been to a neurologist, by the way, in 8 years. So I typically don't even go for these checkups, but my insurance said I had to. So I did it. They said that they would never think that I had MS. And I'm sick. I'll be 68 years old. And I go to the gym the same way I did when I was 38. So I'm living my life as if MS isn't part of it.
That's amazing. I actually thought that you were diagnosed in your 30s. So I can
40,
believe it.
yeah, 40, 40, 47. Yeah. Oh, I was
47.
old. Yeah.
47, I don't think it's old. I'm 42. So I hope 47 is
Well,
not
it's
old.
old. It's old for the diagnosis.
Yes,
So
yes.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, you're a kid at 42. I have kids your age.
I have two. Um, but usually, yes, women, I don't know about men, but women get diagnosed in their 30s.
Yeah. I work with most of the people that I train. I trained 40 people in 10 different countries one-on-one. And I would say 80% of the people that I work with are women. And some of them are actually in their 20s and 30s and have had MS for a while. They're getting diagnosed earlier because now when years ago when somebody would go to the doctor and tell them about these symptoms, they tell them that there was something wrong with their mind and the way they were thinking. Now they know better, so you're seeing earlier diagnosis.
Yes, I can see that. And you said you didn't go to see a neurologist for 8 years.
8 years, yeah, yeah.
When was the last time you get an MRI?
I just had to have them now, but the last time was 8 years ago.
How did it feel getting in the machine? Did you get the spine also, or only the?
I all of it. I had my spine, my neck, my brain, and my eyes specifically because I was diagnosed with optic neuritis many, many years ago. So they wanted to see how that was going. Believe me, it was not easy for me to be in there. And they had to put something on my face and my head to keep it straight because of the eye MRI. And I did without contrast and with contrast. I was in there for 2 hours and it was not fun. In fact, they had to drug me to keep me in there.
Oh, yes. I do not look forward to it. That's why I don't really get MRIs either.
And I think, look, I'm not a doctor, so this is not medical advice to anybody. Um,
You know?
but for me, I felt the same way. The MRIs are not going to tell me anything that's going to change the way that I'm dealing with or managing my MS. And the doctor said, when we understand that you won't take MS medications, so we're not doing this to prescribe anything. We're doing it to comply with the insurance. So yeah, everybody has to do what they believe is the best thing for their journey. And I always tell people, and a lot of people that I work with, because they ask me, what should I do? I always tell them it's not my decision. This is your journey with this disease. The best advice I can ever give anyone is to eat right, train right, and think right. And if you can do those three things, you've got a great management protocol.
Yes, for sure. That's amazing. For me, it's uh, the whole diagnosis and the last 7 years was just life-changing, and I'm sure a lot changed for you since then. Did you ever experience like any major symptoms when you couldn't walk or like something that you would consider? You're not on medication, right? I'm sorry to ask this
No,
question. You
no,
don't
no,
have to
no.
answer if
No,
if you
no,
don't
I
want
have
to.
no problem. I'm an open book. I'm on no medication. And when I was diagnosed, it was so severe that I was paralyzed from here down. So I couldn't move. My arms would just flop around. My legs were flopping around. I had to be kind of lifted and moved. When I was sent over to the emergency room, I couldn't walk to get there. I was in the hospital for 5 days before they actually diagnosed it. They were doing all sorts of tests. They originally thought I had either a brain tumor or brain cancer, and they wanted to cut my head open to see what was going on in there. And I refused. So they brought in a neurologist who did the MRIs, the spinal tap, and all those things that they did. And he said, "This is multiple sclerosis." And I said, "I don't know what that means." I didn't even know what the disease was. Never heard of it. But I was in really bad shape. When I left that hospital, I could barely walk. They gave me all those, the prednisone and the solumedrol and all the things to get the inflammation down. But I could not feel anything from my left side. So my hand, I couldn't move my hand more than this. My leg was dragging. I had really bad vision on my left eye. There was a black hole on that side where I couldn't see. And I had to really reinvent myself because I was this healthy athlete. I was bodybuilding. Before bodybuilding, I was a fighter. I was in the Marines. I was a martial artist. I was never sick with anything. So this was a shock to me. And it took me time to understand how to combat this disease. Back then, you have to remember 20 years ago, all you would see on the internet was terrible negativity. People that was saying, "Oh, MS is terrible. My life is over. I can't do this. I can't do that." There weren't all the positive people out there. Angie Gensler wasn't out there back then.
Yes.
So, when I met her years ago, and this was many years after my diagnosis, she was a positive force. People weren't like Angie back then. You
I
know,
think she was inspired by you.
Well, she says that, but she's an inspiration. Right now, she's my inspiration. So I live vicariously through her because I won't compete in bodybuilding anymore. I did as a person with MS, I did it one time. There's a nice big trophy up there somewhere, and but it was too much because I was already 50 at that time, and I wanted to direct my attention to helping people, not building myself up. So I shifted gears, but I'm Angie's biggest fan because she's amazing.
Yes, she's amazing. She was here, as you know, 2 weeks ago, and we did the push-up challenge. And some of the people who are here on this call, they joined in, and it's really interesting. The more you practice a habit or you incorporate it, the easier it gets. In the beginning, you kind of have to remind yourself, but after a while, you just like, I see the kitchen counter, let's do some push-ups.
Right. Well,
So,
everybody that knows you knows Angie. And when Angie had come to see me or actually talk to me on the phone at that time, um, she was asking me, what do I do? And she was terribly out of condition. And over the few years that we got to know each other and work together, I told her some things that would help. And then, she's very smart. She found other things with that. And combined, she got to where she is now, which shows that you don't have to have a background like I did. I was an athlete and a trainer for 25 years before I was diagnosed. Angie was a mom and a housewife. So it doesn't really matter. People say to me, you look like that because you've been training your whole life. Well, look at someone like Angie. She wasn't training her whole life, and she still was able to completely change her body, the way she feels, and even the way she thinks because of the things that she did. And everybody that's listening to this, there's no goal that you can't attain if you try and do the right things to get there. One of the things that's important is always making short-term and long-term goals. Because if you make a long-term goal and it's so far out, sometimes you kind of lose that steam going there. But if you have those little ones along the way, that'll get you to that long-term goal. And that's exactly what Angie did. That's why she's so successful.
Yes, I call the long-term goal vision boards. Those are on my vision board. Um, but for you, can I ask now that you can look back, like you can compare, you change your mindset, what do you think contributed to this diagnosis that you multiple sclerosis?
It's hard to say because as we all know, the doctors have no real idea. Some say, well, if you had Epstein-Barr when you were younger, you end up with MS. If you had mononucleosis, they throw these things out there, but they're really not 100% um, sure that they're correct. One of the things the doctor did say is when he held up my MRI, the original doctor years ago, he said, I wouldn't even think this was MS if he didn't have lesions in his spine. And he was talking to my wife, who's a registered nurse. So she kind of understood more than I did. And she said, well, why do you say that? He said, his brain looks like a boxer's brain. It looks like he's been hit in the head. And my wife said, my husband was like a professional fighter. So he said, well, that's probably why he's got MS. He got
Mm.
hit in the head so many times, it created this deficit in his nervous system. But again, we don't know because not everybody out there got hit in the head like I did. So why did you get MS? Was somebody hitting you in the head? No. What is the reason? And how do you know where it originated from? You really don't. So we just have to kind of attack the fact that we have it and overcome our limitations. And people always ask me, you look like you do and you train like you do, you probably have no symptoms. That's far from the truth. I have symptoms except that I've created the ability to be able to overcome those symptoms and be able to be as mobile as I want to be. So, despite symptoms, I could still run up and down stairs. I could still squat 500 pounds. I could grab dumbbells like this when I couldn't even do that before. All those things happened because I trained my body to be able to do that. And I didn't do it just by going to the gym and going like this, or doing these weird neurological exercises I see people doing online. It doesn't work. There's a combination of strength training and nerve conditioning that has to work together to become as mobile as I am and as mobile as Angie is. It's not just going to the gym and exercising. So that's what I teach with Optimal Body, and that's working with Matt Rowe. We work together. He does the mindset, and I do the fitness part of it. But it's very important that people understand that exercise is important, but it's the proper exercise, the proper training methods that have to be implemented to get to where you want to be.
Yes. And I had a question about that. How did you team up with Matt Rowe? I'm a huge fan of him. And everything he teaches and everything he believes in, I believe the same thing.
Yeah, he's amazing. We met years ago. He found me, I guess, on the internet and said, "Would you be part of my summit?" And I said, "Sure, it sounds good. I like the people that you're putting in it." And we did it and we became friends from there. And for several years, I was in the summit with him. And just last year, I said to him, you know, Matt, what you do with the mindset and the way you think and just your demeanor, I said, we're so opposite. You know, I'm this New York like bulldog, and you're this real calm type of guy with this real easygoing personality. I said, I could use someone like you to kind of calm me down a little bit. So I started to listen to what he was doing as well. And I said, this would be a great combination. We take your mindset and we take my training and we put it into one program because where people go wrong is they get motivated. Now, motivation is a great word. It sounds exciting. I'm motivated. I'm going to go do this. But motivation is a fleeting emotion. What Matt does is he keeps you committed. He teaches you how to stay committed to a program and to make your mind right every single day that you wake up. The commitment is what gives you the results of my training, not quick motivation. So that's how we got together. And one of the greatest guys that I've met in my life is Matt Rowe.
I can't wait to have him here also. I started the program. I love it so far. I didn't get too far yet, but my question is, if I follow your guidance and his guidance, am I going to have muscles like you and Angie? Because that's my goal here.
If you want to, yes. So the program isn't designed for bodybuilders. You know, I know people think, you know, Dave, you're a bodybuilder, so you're making me do bodybuilding. That's not it. The bodybuilding part of it, the muscle development is the benefit of what you're doing, but the training itself is designed for several things that are very important. One is BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Those are the things in your brain and your spine that get you to work properly. So you've got to attack that. Neuroplasticity, as we've all heard, I mean, that's a common word with MS, but neuroplasticity isn't just snapping your fingers and thinking. BDNF has to come first. And then that leads to neuroplasticity, which will be the redirection of the nervous system if that's what your body needs. The other thing that's important is acetylcholine production. So that's a chemical in our brain that tells our muscles to move. And most people don't even understand that word. They don't know what that means. And most trainers, if you ask a trainer about acetylcholine, they don't understand what it does. But the lower level that you have of acetylcholine, the harder it is for your muscles to move. So you want to jack that up. You want it to go high. So that's important as well. The brain to muscle connection, okay? How you think while you're training, how you connect that muscle to the thought process so the nerves could work. And finally, muscle fiber activation, getting the muscles activated so that they can respond and grow and get stronger. All of those things will lead you to overcome MS limitations. But a benefit of it is you can look like Angie if you want to.
I love it. Yes, I do. Hmm. I have, I guess, everybody here, by the way, if you have any questions, please feel free to enter it in the chat or turn your camera on if you want to ask David. You are more than welcome to do so. So activation, you use that word. Is it includes like taking supplements along the way or strictly watching videos as Matt is giving you advice, what kind of thinking process you should have? I heard you saying in one of the videos that I was watching that you shouldn't listen to music while you do these sets, these exercises. Like
Right.
what's included other than the bands that you recommended?
Well, everything that you need is included in the program. So when I'm there taking everybody through the workouts, because it is me, and as you could see, I'm sweating. There are times that I struggle as well with some of the things, okay, because I do have MS. And I want people to understand that I'm a real person. I'm not just some guy that has no issues and I could just go ahead and do things. So I take people through step by step every single rep, every set that we do. Matt is giving you the information that helps you to be able to prepare for that so that when you are working out, you can really focus 100%. It's hyper focus. I call it thought-based, focus-driven training because we are taking our thoughts and hyper focusing it on what we're doing. And that's why I say no music, no dogs barking, send your wife or your husband out of the room, tell the kids to go watch TV. But whatever, you want to have complete focus on the exercises because the more you could hyper focus, the more all those five things that I talked about will happen. And Matt is preparing everybody every single day for those workouts. As far as supplements, there are some supplements that we do recommend. I'm not selling them, so it's not anything that I'm just promoting, but there are things that work well with the nervous system and muscle recovery and muscle growth. One of them is creatine hydrochloride, great supplement to take. You also want to make sure you're taking enough protein so that your muscles can recover and grow. A lot of times people they push themselves in workouts like mine, but they're not getting enough protein. So they're not recovering. So all of this is talked about. Everything in the program is there. There's a section on nutrition and all of the things that are important. I have videos where it's either me or it's Matt. We're explaining everything so that you could just watch us tell you how to do things and what to do. But it's a matter of following the program the way it is. You don't have to go out and spend a lot of money on supplements. You don't have to spend a lot of money on equipment. You could use the resistance bands that we send to the people that join for a year, and you never need to go to a gym unless you want to. Those of us that do go to a gym, we take those exercises and we transfer them exactly into gym equipment or dumbbells because every movement that you do with a resistance band, there's something that you can do at a gym that will match that. But you don't have to go to a gym. There's a lot of people that don't want to spend on the gym. They don't want to deal with all the crowds of people at the gym. Some people that are using walkers or wheelchairs or canes or whatever don't want to go to the gym and bring it. You don't need it. I'm right there and Matt's right there in your house. So it's everything is laid out. And it's again, you don't need to buy anything special or take any special type of supplements. You just should take certain things to help you with recovery and for the brain and the nerves to work better.
Yes, with Angie, we were talking about creatine and some other things that she's
Yeah.
taking.
Yeah, I take a lot of things, but I tell people not to, you don't have to mimic me. For me, of course, because I was a bodybuilder, I don't want my muscles shrinking. And at my age, everything kind of goes like this, it wants to go in the other direction. So I've got to counteract the aging process. So I take things to do that as well. Everything's natural. These are things that they're not pharmaceuticals. I'm not taking steroids or, people always ask me, how much steroids do you take to have arms that big and all this? I don't take steroids. I did when I was a competitive bodybuilder. I'll never lie about that. That's something that we all had to do. But after I wasn't a competitor anymore, I never did that. And at my age, the best way of fighting the aging process is by eating right, supplementing right, training right, and thinking right, and not letting MS dictate. We have to lead our nervous system. With MS, the nervous system is leading us down the wrong path. So when you're healthy and you don't have a neurological condition, the nervous system is the lead, and it should be the lead. Because when you think, you're activating nerves, and then the muscles work, or your thought process happens. But when you have MS and you let the nervous system lead, it's leading you awry because it's not shooting properly. So you have to learn to lead the nervous system. And that's what my program helps people to do. Lead your nervous system to wherever it is that you want to go, whether it's running a marathon, competing in a fitness competition, or just taking your dog for a walk without tripping. It's up to you.
Yes, thank you for that. What would you suggest or recommend, or what do you recommend for, let's say somebody has leg pain on the left leg and has issue walking. Like, is there specific exercise that it's in the program or they can kind of get over that symptoms? Do you have any success stories on that where just the symptoms disappeared?
I have hundreds of video success stories. In fact, when I train people privately, I'm videotaping every workout. And you will see from the beginning of when they started to whether it's a year or 2 years. I have some people that are still with me 7 years later, still training with me. They don't even need me, to be honest with you. I tell them, you don't need me, but they want me to coach them. And these are people now doing marathons, running, or they're able to go up and down the stairs when they couldn't before. There's tons of testimonials that, so it's not, this is not a miracle. This is not the 30-day beach body. This takes months and years of training. It took me 4 years of training this way. So first, when I was diagnosed, I got back to the gym and I was bodybuilding and it wasn't helping me. It was actually making me worse. And then I started to realize that there's things going on in my body that I don't understand because I was a trainer, but I didn't understand neurological issues. So I studied the brain, I studied the nervous system, I studied everything that I knew before in a whole different light. And then I started creating these optimal body training methods. Those methods work at no matter what level. When I first started, I could not lift my left foot off the ground. I couldn't bend my left knee. I couldn't squeeze and hold the dumbbell without putting on a wrap on my hand, a strap to strap the weight in. I couldn't hold on to bars. I needed those straps. Now I have no problems doing all that because I trained my body to do it. So, yes, symptoms are different than limitations. I still have no feeling in this hand. Believe it or not, I do not feel this hand, but I can do this. So how could
Mm.
I do that? I'm not even looking at my hand, and I can do that because I trained my body to be able to respond the way I want it. All of the things that I do today and the things that all the people that have followed the program or people I work with as well are because they've trained their bodies and their mind to be able to work together like this when MS was keeping them apart. So we have to separate the word symptoms from limitations. Symptoms maybe will never go away. You might always have numbness and tingling, or I have a pain on my right side that just appeared about 6 months ago, a nerve, like shooting nerve pain. Never had in all these years, in 20 years. Now I have it here. Does it stop me from being able to walk or do the things that I do in the gym? No. I got used to being able to deal with those symptoms because number one, I'm strong enough. And number two, I'm mobile enough. And number three, up here, I don't let anything stop me. So symptoms maybe will never go away. We don't know, but mobility will come. And the way the program's designed is it balances your body. So a big mistake that I also see out there is people constantly just doing their legs. My legs don't work. So you watch these videos of these trainers and they say, do the sit to stands every day and do this leg thing every single day. Absolutely incorrect. Your body needs to rest and recover, but you need to do the workouts in an intensity in a short period of time. So if you do something in a short period of time at this highest level that you can do it, your body will respond and then build from there. But if every day you're just doing a little bit of something because they tell you it's good to move, that will not overcome limitations.
That's me right now.
Yeah, we can't do that. We have to follow the program, do as much as you can, even if it becomes 10 minutes, but you're doing it at this level and you follow those exercises. What happens is the body starts balancing. So I can do the same thing with my left side now that I can do with my right. Yet if you looked at me 20 years ago or even 18 years ago, you would say he's disabled. I mean, I walked with a limp, I dragged, my whole body was turned to one side. It was terrible. I mean, There's video of me back in the day where they were lifting me and bringing me in and out of equipment so I could work out. I couldn't even get in and out of a leg press because once I got down, I couldn't get up. Now I could jump up if I want to. But that's because I took the program and I followed it to the highest level that I can. Now, I don't want people to be scared and think, "Oh my gosh, I've got to, kill myself to do this." The program is designed so you do it to the level where you're going to take yourself to your limit, not go past it. We don't want you to go past it. That can create exacerbations. What we do is we tap the ceiling. So if tapping the ceiling means you do one set of half the amount that you're seeing me do, that's great. As long as you are pushing yourself to your limit in that short period of time and you're changing those muscles because it's a 3 day workout through one day, day two, day three, then you rest and then you cycle. Every time you go from day to day, it's different muscles. So you're giving your body enough rest that it can recover. So doing the same muscles every single day consistently and trying to make your legs force them to listen to you is not the way to do it. And here's another thing that people kind of find that unless they do this, they find it hard to believe. But I used to sit in the chair to do my leg knee raises, right? My right knee would go up, no problem. Okay, my left wouldn't even move. And I would sit there and I would stare at it. And I would say, "Come on, move, move, move." And I would do that over and over and over. And then I would go back to the right. And I would do my exercises with the right. And I tell the left, "Do it." It wouldn't do it. But here's the science behind this. Every time I was telling that left side to move, I was sending signals. Now, the signals were disrupted from the MS, so they weren't really getting there. But what was happening is BDNF was happening, neuroplasticity was happening, where I was starting to redirect. My acetylcholine level was high. My brain was connecting to the muscles. And although I wasn't getting the muscle fiber activation I wanted, because it wasn't really reaching there, I was generating the nerves to start going in that direction. Now, again, it took me 4 years. And after 4 years, that foot came up. I was able to do calf raises on both sides. My knee was able to raise. My legs stopped dragging. And then I was able to start training equally on both sides. But the 4 years, during those 4 years, I could have given up. I could have been frustrated. All the things that people do when things don't happen in 2 weeks. They get, "Oh, that's not working." It's not true because what's going on the inside maybe will not come out in view on the outside yet because there's the gap with the nerves here. We've got to bring that gap like this and we've got to get it where they're touching, whether it's by redirection or regeneration. During the time when it's moving in, you might not see anything happening. But I'm telling you, and I get people all the time messaging me going, at first I didn't think that I was getting anything from the program, but I stuck with it because you said to stick with it. And now here I am 6 months later, my foot is actually moving. I could lift my foot. And that same person, I talked to them a year later, and now they're actually walking or whatever. It's time, effort, commitment, focus, and all those things that you'll hear me and Matt say all the time. Those are the things that will get you to that finish line. But it's not a quick fix. And anyone that tells someone with MS that if you eat this or do that in 30 days or 2 weeks or 2 months, you're going to be fixed and cured of MS is lying to them. You just need to do the right things and build. Some people, they may be fixed in 6 months. Some people, 4 years like me. Who knows? We don't know, but we have to do the right things to get there.
Yes, and it's so hard sometimes because,
I
like you
know.
said, you have these not symptoms, but you have this issue. Like you probably know it's MS related.
Yeah.
I would be like, no, this is not MS related because I'm the person who is like no, like whatever I feel, it has nothing to do with MS because that's what I want to tell my mind.
Right,
Don't
right,
even go down that path. Um, but it's so hard. And I've been talking to so many people. It's like once symptoms show up, people just go into these negative, not negative because that's the wrong word, but they are just hopeless. They don't know how
right.
to what to do, what's next. They don't believe that that can just disappear one day.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest part.
Well, we all know that MS is a snowflake disease. Everybody's different, even though we have the same type of things going on, they could be slightly different from one person to the next. One person could have 100 lesions in their body. I have a tremendous amount of lesions. If I told you how many, you'd be like, how are you even talking? I mean, we when they did the MRI, they looked at my brain. They're like, whoa, how do you do what you do with all those lesions? How do you do what you do with all these lesions in your spine? I do because I was able to create the ability to do it. You cannot let symptoms or issues like what I have going on my right side, you can't let that dictate your life. And you're right, people, the minute something happens, they feel something, it's MS or, and then they start panicking that they're having an exacerbation. I'm not even in an MS flare. They tested me and they did everything that they needed to do. They said, this isn't even, you have no active MS going on. All you have is 20 years of a progression of a disease, and you have some of the symptoms of that disease that are still lingering, like the lack of feeling in the hand, this little thing that's going on my side. I've got spots in my eyes that, are just there. When I look at you, I see you, you look great, but I see spots there. But
That's my screen.
that's just, yeah, well, that we'll say that. Um, I'm okay with that. You know, I, I don't want to sound like I'm preaching here, but we have a life and we have a beginning of a life and we have an end of our life, right? And some that believe like I do, I'm going to a better place at some point. Whatever your beliefs are, that's your beliefs, but there's a beginning and an end here on earth, right? So it's like a box. And we have a box, and there's one side of the box and another side of the box. And what's in that box is up to us, what we put in that box. So we have to look at this disease and say, you know what? Our box is this big. Whatever's in that box, whatever goes in there, we're not going to look at it as good or bad. We're going to deal with it because this is the life that we have. When it's over, it's over. You know, I get up every morning at 5 o'clock. I go to the gym. I work out. I come back. I train my people like I'm doing, talking to you like this all day. Okay. To do this interview, I had to not train somebody that I would normally train, which is no big deal, but this is how late I do this. And it's almost a quarter to 6 here in California. I'm doing this all day long. To me, I get up in the morning, I'm the most blessed man in the world because I'm helping people. So that box of mine is filled with positivity. So a pain here and spots in my eyes here, big deal. It's not going to stop me from moving forward. And this is why I want people to listen to someone like Matt Rowe because he can really program your brain to do what I'm saying. I'm not the guy that could program you that way. He's the guy that could do that. I'm the guy that's going to get you through your workouts. But it's so important how you think about this life with MS because no, it's not fun. And no, do you really want MS? People ask me, if you had a choice, would you have MS or would you not have MS? Of course, I don't want MS. But this is what I was given. This is what I have. So that's not a question I could even answer you. I'm still the most blessed guy ever because MS gave me the ability to understand myself and how to fix myself so that I could fix you. Okay.
I
And that's how I look at it.
I was about to say, I feel very lucky. Just everything you said, I feel we find our purpose with this diagnosis. It took me a few years. but I'm also helping people, I feel like, I hope. But what would you tell for people who are still looking for their purpose and they just feel like this disease on them is a struggle. It's taking their life.
It's not taking your life. I mean, I work with people that come to me in wheelchairs in really bad condition. I have one woman that came to me in a wheelchair, 75 years old. She reached out to me and she said, I'm done. I don't even want to live now. I've had this disease for 30 years. She said, "You're my last hope." And I said, look, I said, I can't promise you or guarantee you that you're going to be jumping up out of that wheelchair in your lifetime, but I guarantee you I will make you stronger and more mobile. But you have to have the right attitude. You can't come to me telling me that your life's over. You have to come to me telling me that today's the first day of your life and tomorrow's the next day of your life. And we move from day to day to day, and not being overwhelmed with the fact that you have MS. She couldn't lift her arm. Her arm was here. Okay. So she couldn't comb her hair. And for 7 years before me, she'd been going to physical therapists. She's hired personal trainers. Nobody could fix her. Within months, and I've got this all on video, and she's there talking, and I could send it to you so you could show it to people. But she lifted her arm up and was able to comb her hair. She was able to stand up out of her wheelchair and stand outside holding onto her fence on her property. These are things she couldn't do. But I said to her, you've been holding yourself back also. Yes, you weren't training properly, and now we're going to. But every day that you woke up saying to yourself, I don't want to live, I hate this disease, I wish I didn't have it, all you're doing is sending negative signals into your own nervous system, which is just making MS worse.
Mhm.
So why would you do that? If we know that we cannot just snap our fingers and we don't have MS today, why wake up every day saying, why me? And this is terrible because you're making your life even more difficult. Again, let's go back to the box. What do you want to put in your box? Do you want to put in negativity or do you want to put in things that are positive so that you can actually prepare yourself to get better, to get more mobile, to be stronger, to live a better life? Forget about MS. Just think of it as your life. There's good and there's bad in life. Sometimes you lose your job, you lose your money, somebody dies, things happen. But every time that something happens, if everything that happens becomes such a catastrophe that you can't function, you're in trouble. And you have to look at MS in the same pattern or box as all these other things that you don't want happening to you. Nobody wants anything bad to happen to us, but this is life. Make MS just part of this life that you're living and take MS and do something positive with it. Be an example to other people. Do like Angie did. Be an example. She first set out to fix herself just like I did. I had no feeling that I wanted to help anybody when I got diagnosed with MS. I just wanted to beat it myself and I wanted to be a bodybuilder again and all these things. My wife said to me, you conquered the bodybuilding. You got up on stage, everybody cheered you on, all this great stuff is going on. But how's that helping anybody? What is that really doing? You know that you're doing what you want, but you're still not fixing MS. She said, why don't you take all this great knowledge you have and study about MS and how to fix it and fix yourself so that you can help other people? If it wasn't for my wife, I probably wouldn't be here doing this right now.
I was about to say we are very thankful for your wife.
Well, she's got that heart that is always to help people. As a registered nurse for over 20 years, that's her life is giving to other people. And when she saw what I was doing, she said, "You're too focused on yourself. You need to take all of this 25 years at that time, now it's over 45 years of experience in fitness and use it for the good of your community." And that's what I tell everybody. You don't have to be a fitness trainer. You don't have to be an influencer. You don't have to run a blog. But if you just say to yourself, I'm going to help one person get over the fact that they have this condition by working on myself so that I'm better, then you're helping the world. And that's what this to me is all about. It's not, I don't consider life about us. I consider life about what we give. And that's why I do what I do.
I love that. I'm the same way. Can I ask you how long, like if somebody wants to commit to the program, how long it takes? Not like how many months, because it depends,
Yeah.
obviously, the person, but every day, how much time they have to contribute or donate?
You could put in anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes every day that you do the program, which is 3 days in a row. You could take a day break from it and cycle it again. You could take 2 days break if you want and cycle it again. You take the break that you need, but you do the 3 days. During those 3 days, typically it's about 30 minutes. Depending on the body parts, it could be even less. It could be a few minutes more, but it's about a 30-minute workout that you do, and you shift from body part to body part during that workout. So it's not just legs, 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 legs. It's all the body parts. The body has to work together. The nervous system shoots everywhere. It doesn't just go to your legs.
Yes, I'm going to put the link to check out the website, Optimal Body, Optimal Mind, that we've been talking about a little bit here. And everything is there, all the information,
Yep.
everything, but in more details.
Yes, and anyone that's on Facebook, I'm not big on Instagram and these other things. I'm kind of a dinosaur with social media. I'm on Facebook because that's the way I'm able to communicate. But anyone that wants to message me, they can do that directly on Facebook. Just find me on Facebook. I think personally I'm at David Lyons MS is my handle there, but you'll find me. They could find me through you. And if they have questions, I'm very accessible. I might not answer in 5 minutes because I'm training all these people, but within 24 hours, I will personally respond to any questions. And if someone wants to do this with me and get on a video call, we can schedule that. I don't charge people to talk to me. I will give people as much time as they need to help them to be able to fight this. And whether they join the program or they don't join the program, I'll still help anyone that reaches out to me and has questions and wants to know things.
Thank you for that. And please send our apology for the person you're supposed to be training during our call
She was
because
good. She's good. She's good. Where I told her I've got to do this. She said, "Oh, great. I'll talk to you." She knows who you are, so it's all good.
Oh, thank you. One more question before we let you have your dinner. What would be your advice for somebody newly diagnosed?
The first thing is don't listen to anything negative. So when people say, "Oh, poor you, you've got MS," or "You better take it easy," or you go on the internet and you see people going, "My life is over," stay away from that. Keep that out of your mind, keep that out of your system. So you've got to stay away from the negative comments. And then you got to start thinking about what you're eating, how you're training your body and what you're thinking. All of that is very, very important. First steps are get yourself in order to beat this disease. And I think there's someone that had a question. Um, I think it was Meg that popped up in there. If you could pop that up, I want to answer her.
Yes, is the training group training or one-on-one?
No, it's not group because it's videos. So the program, the online program is you go in and it's videos every day of the training and it's me myself. So it's one-on-one and then you can stop it, you could fast forward it, you could backtrack it, whatever you need to do to understand it. And I always tell people watch the workout first before you start trying to follow me so you understand how I'm doing it. There's a whole section that says get started here. And there's a ton of videos. There's a bunch of things, me talking and Matt talking, just telling you about how to do the program, how to get through it. Even there's a tutorial even on how to use the resistance bands and use the door anchor to put it into the door. So it's one-on-one, you and videos, and you do it anytime you want. You have access 24/7. Now, for anybody that wants one-on-one, you could contact me and we could talk about that as well. But the video program is your program that you do anytime that is available for you during the day, at night, whatever, 24/7.
Mm, yes. About the door handle, like I was trying to figure out if our doors are strong enough, to be honest, because
Yeah.
I don't know if I can do it at home, so I might have to take it to the gym.
Usually the doors will hold it because once you put the door anchor in and the strap and you shut that door, I always tell people if you can lock the door, lock it so it can't open. But typically, I've never heard of anybody breaking their door with the bands. So I think you'll be okay. Unless you're using those real thin doors, you should be okay.
Okay. Anybody has any questions here tonight? Thank you so much for joining us. And is there anything else I missed asking? Thank you so much for being here, David. It was a
No, listen,
pleasure.
I think we went over pretty much anything, and anyone that again has questions that maybe they forgot or it comes up tomorrow or the next day, just reach out to me. Again, I'm accessible, so I'm here to answer those questions. But to be honest with you, this was my pleasure being here. I'm no celebrity. You're a bigger celebrity than me. So,
I don't even, yeah, you are so inspiring. Living with MS for 20 years and being here and doing everything you do and just sharing how you felt and how you feel now. And you are just positivity, like shining through you. So that's what we need.
well, I'm glad if there's anyone that I've helped here in this little time that we had together, then I did what I needed to do. So thank you for having me on. Thanks everybody for being here. Um, you're an inspiration to me. Everybody that comes on that tries to fight this disease in any way that they do is inspiring, and just keep doing what you're doing.
Yes. Thank you. Have a great evening,
You too.
everyone. Thank you so much.